Hello and welcome to the Red Sofa here in Nashville. We're here at Automotive Logistics and Supply Chain Digital Strategies North America. And I'm here with Jordan Pavel, the Regional Project Director and Chief of Staff for North America at OPmobility. Jordan, it's great to have you on the Red Sofa with us for the first time.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
No problem. And so I just want to go through some of the topics that you talked about on stage. You described the ambition of moving the supply chain from reactive firefighting to something far more corrective. So, how, in your opinion, how mature is the industry on that journey today? And where are you seeing the biggest opportunities for companies to unlock that greater visibility?
So I think we're well on our way along the journey. We have lots of data, lots of dashboards, lots of tools to help us improve our decision making. Where I think the best opportunity is how do we move from an analyst having to decipher that data to presenting them with actionable insights and really move from this reactive state to moving farther and farther up the supply chain to be as proactive as possible.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I want to get a bit more deeper into kind of your background because you operate in a chief of staff role and work closely with, executive leadership. And that gives you a very unique cross-functional perspective. How is that vantage point helping you to accelerate supply transformation in ways that maybe traditional operational roles wouldn't have?
I think there's really two keys to that. One is at Oki Mobility, we're really organized by business group or product line. So I have a unique perspective to where I can pull what are the best of the best processes and share them across where previously they didn't have that visibility. And then from an executive leadership standpoint, good supply chain decisions are good business decisions. So I think bringing my supply chain background to that table allows me to connect. How does inventory affect our balance sheet? How does, you know, so customer shortages affect our relationship with that customer and our ability to drive sales and growth in the future? So I think it's a great seat to have at the table. And I think having that supply chain knowledge really helps me drive effective decision making.
Perfect. I mean, you've also worked on the OEM side at Ford, but also on the technology side at Overhaul, and now that tier one perspective at OP Mobility. So, how has that how has that also really shaped your approach to alignment with partners and who may have different priorities?
It's been an interesting journey being at the OEM. I had this pie in the sky idea of everything that was possible, but then moving to the partner that was building the software, it showed me, where we needed to work better together. And now being at the tier one where I have OEMs asking for all types of visibility data, it's brought in a new perspective of what can we share, what can't we share. Do we have an element of trust with our partners? And I really think this is a huge opportunity within digital strategies is how do we create a visibility ecosystem where we have industry standards, where when it comes to supply chain end-to-end visibility, we're using standard tools and we're applying broadly across the industry. So that way you get that innate trust right off the bat and you get these really holistic data sets that we can then put AI on top of and really go to the next level of visibility.
Perfect. You also mentioned on stage about, end-to-end visibility is often really positioned at that ultimate end goal, but in practice, organizations have to be very strategic on where they focus to get that visibility. How do you determine which parts of the supply chain warrant that deeper visibility, and where is it important to, prioritize actionable insights?
I think you really have to have strong processes and understand them to the point where you know where your biggest pain points are and where you have the highest financial risk. If you can focus on those areas, it's really easy to create the business case and drive your priority when applying visibility tools.
Perfect. You also talked about the rollout of your TMS system at OP Mobility. Can you walk us through what kind of drove that initiative and some of the key lessons or challenges along the way?
Yeah, so one thing was really focusing on the people first and making sure that we had a control tower set up in Monterrey, Mexico. So that way, once we had the tool, we already had the people in place that could take action on it. And making sure that, they were very well trained, at the head of the technology and that they also understood our processes. And selecting your partner was really important in that journey because we didn't just choose a tool, we chose a partner that brought us consulting services so that way we could benchmark best of the best and implement those practices and really level up our processes as we're going through this implementation.
Perfect. And building on that foundation a little bit, like technologies like AI, real time, and analytics are really, creating new opportunities to anticipate disruption across the supply chain as well. So, where are you seeing the most meaningful opportunities emerge there? And, what capabilities are essential to turning AI from a reporting tool into a more of a real time operational decision engine?
Yeah, I think a lot of companies really have strong functional expertise and functional data that often lives within their silos. So the opportunity is really how do we connect across with strong data validity, and then also connect the process across. That way you can pick out especially what's meaningful and what allows you to drive action.
For sure. I mean, compliance and transparency obligations are also, it keeps widening at the moment. It is a real challenge. How can the industry stay ahead of that landscape? And where are the compliance and operational visibility starting to converge?
I think that's where the industry solution or, industry standards are really important because if we can lay that out globally, it reduces a lot of the inefficiency that it takes to create this end-to-end visibility, especially from a tier one perspective, right? We spend a lot of time looking at what was requested, can we share, making sure that we're not sharing any information cross customer, and that, really the customer has that trust with us and our best interest in mind. So if we could standardize, I think we could scale a lot faster.
And to wrap us up, looking ahead, how do you see end-to-end visibility evolving in automotive over the next 5 years?
I think we have a really exciting opportunity. If we can connect all the nodes of the supply chain, I think we could see massive gains in cost savings and process efficiency, just really end to end. I mean, imagine a world where if a truck is going by your supplier and has, a hot shipment, it can detour and pick it up with no impact to your production and lower premium freight costs. And as you start making these decisions, you can push them farther and farther up to your demand planning and supply planning processes. And I really see a world where we can get out of this everyday firefighting and get into really strategic decision making.
Jordan, thank you for being here on the Red Sofa. And for those at home, please do check out all of our content on automotive logistics.